So Nathan said, well, I have this mom. I met her. She needs $1,200 to get back into her apartment, and we have $1,200 in our bank account, so I'm going to send her all the money in our bank account. Wow. We were just married, so we were navigating. I think I was just in shock at first, but I mean, ultimately we had to do that because I knew that we would be okay. I knew that we could figure out, food and, shelter for ourselves and all these different things we could get by. But this mom would have an abortion if she didn't have the help.
Welcome back to Problematic Women, where it is not wrong to be right. I am so excited that we have the co-founder and president of Let Them Live, Emily Berning, back with us today. Thank you, Emily, for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
This is awesome. It's full circle. We're going to talk more in a minute, but you were on the show 5.5 years ago, like literally a week before COVID hit and our world changed for forever. So it feels awesome to now be speaking and get to hear what you guys have been up to over the past 5.5 years at Let Them Live. And also a really appropriate time to be having this conversation because we've just had the March for Life in Washington, D.C. It is the largest pro-life gathering in, I think, the world annually, every single year. So literally thousands of people come together to support life, to march in support of life. Vice President J.D. Vance spoke, which was awesome to see that continued support from this administration. And also felt even more appropriate in the fact that his wife, Usha Vance, has just announced they're pregnant with their fourth. Like, that's wild. It's wild.
I know. There's a lot of pro-life things happening.
There's a lot of pro-life things happening. And I was like, man, to be vice president, you're the second lady, you have a baby on the way, you have 3 other kids. That's a lot.
It's a lot, but how cool is it that they're in office and she's pregnant and she has this stage to show her pregnancy? I mean, it's cool.
It is. It's very cool. And I feel like it's a reminder because I was like, okay, I'm sure they have help, right? Like, I'm sure that they have people around them who are helping them, supporting them. And I think it's a sweet reminder for exactly what you all do at Let Them Live. That, like, no one, including the vice president, can bring a life into this world without help. Like, we all need assistance. We all need support. We all need more hands. And that's exactly what you all do at Let Them Live, is you come alongside moms in those crisis situations. You say, hey, we're going to be the hands and feet of Christ. We're going to help you in really, really practical ways. So when we spoke 5.5 years ago, you had just started several months before. Let Them Live was brand new. You guys launched in 2019. And so we were hearing for the first time that, like, okay, you got this awesome mission. Things are going well. You all are saving babies. But take us back to that point. Share a little bit about how you guys started. Yeah. And then we'll talk a little bit about where you are today.
Okay. Yeah. And it is such a full circle thing because when we talked, Let Them Live was so much different, so much smaller than it is. We saved a handful of babies from abortion, and now we've saved over 1,000. So God has done so many wonderful things. But what's really started Let Them Live was helping just one mom. Nathan and I helped just one pregnant woman.
Nathan is your husband?
Yes. Yes, my wonderful husband, who at the time that this happened was actually pro-choice. So this was actually just a couple of months after we got married. It was December 2018, and I vividly remember this. It was 3 a.m. We were staying at his grandparents' house, and I remember Nathan nudging me awake, and I'm thinking, what is going on? So he had been on Facebook scrolling and found in a pro-life group chat and found a woman who had posted saying, my cousin has an abortion scheduled. Can anyone give me any advice? Like, what do I tell her? How do we help her to not go through with this?
Wow.
And a lot of people were, in the comments, like, we're praying for you, or we can help her with diapers and find a pregnancy center and all of the different things. But Nathan did something a little different. And I think this is really beautiful because, again, Nathan was not super pro-life at the time. He wasn't even a Christian. Wow. And God used him. So Nathan had this idea to actually reach out to this woman directly and ask her why her cousin was considering abortion. Yeah. And that why is very important when we're talking with women. They're not going in to have the abortion for no reason. Yeah. So when he asked her this, it turns out that her cousin had been evicted, living in her car, and it was December in Canada. So very cold. And he just knew, human to human, that a pregnant woman should not be living in these circumstances. You know, she lost her job. She didn't have a way to provide for her family, just all these different things. Yeah. So I remember being nudged awake and Nathan asking me, do you want to save a life from abortion? And of course I did. If you were asked that, if anyone was asked that, we would say yes. Yeah. But the question is always how? How do we as pro-life people make that step from saying, you know, we are pro-life into doing something that actually helps a mom and a baby? Yeah. So Nathan said, well, I have this mom. I met her. She needs $1,200 to get back into her apartment, and we have $1,200 in our bank account. So I'm going to send her all the money in our bank account. Wow. We were just married, so we were navigating, you know.
You've just spent all your money on a wedding.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out life.
Yeah, we were just trying to pay our bills. We were navigating being married as well as starting this organization. And I think I was just in shock at first, but ultimately we had to do that because I knew that we would be okay. I knew that we could figure out, you know, food and, you know, shelter for ourselves and all these different things we could get by. But this mom would have an abortion if she didn't have the help. And so we did. We sent her all of our money, you know, a mom over the internet. We didn't know. That's not how Let Them Live operates now. But that was the impetus. That's how we started it, was just by helping one mom. And sure enough, we got her back into her apartment. She canceled her abortion and sent us an ultrasound of her baby a few days later. And that was the light bulb moment for us where we realized there's probably more women who are having abortions because of financial burden or because of some sort of circumstance in their life that can be prevented, that can be helped. And that's how it got started. And it just picked up from there. I think it was a very needed, Let Them Live is a very needed resource in the pro-life movement. Yeah. It's a big gap that we filled. And so I believe that's why it snowballed so quickly into 50 plus staff, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers, you know, tens of millions of dollars raised, you know, but it's all glory to God. God took $1,200 and turned it into, you know, $20 million raised. So that's how it all got started.
Yeah, when we were chatting before we came into the studio and you said you guys have 50 staff now, it's like a lot of nonprofits exist for decades and never get above 10 staff. Yeah. Like, it's just not normal. Like, what has happened at Let Them Live is not normal.
No, and I was not prepared for it. I think that was the biggest shock to Nathan and I, was we were just expecting, okay, we're going to help this one mom. Maybe we'll help a couple of women every single year. Yeah. You know, when you form your nonprofit, you can form, you know, do the paperwork or whatever and, you know, say, oh, well, we're not going to raise more than $50,000 in the first 2 years. So we'll fill out the, you know, the quicker forms to be a C3. And we're like, oh, we're not going to raise more than, you know, 50 grand in the first 2 years. And we raised just under $1 million in our second year. So
more paperwork.
Yeah. So it's fine. And but really our expectations just blew up and we had no intention of Let Them Live becoming so popular. And it's a double-edged sword because it's so wonderful to help moms, but we know it's so popular because it's such a big need.
Yeah. Well, and you guys have just had that massive milestone that you mentioned, right, of over
1,000 babies. Yes. We have these really cute keychains, too, to commemorate it. And it's a really big accomplishment for Nathan and I. Yeah. Not only because this was just not what we planned with our life, but to see our baby, our Let Them Live baby grow, but because Nathan and I personally, you know, we've been married for 7 years. We don't have kids of our own. We've struggled with infertility. And so to help these moms and to see them have their babies and to get to be part of that is personally just really a blessing.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. Wow. How does it practically work? How do you find those moms? How do they get connected with you?
This is a really good question. And these are all the questions we get the most. You know, how does this happen? Are you just sending women money? It's like, don't worry, I got you.
You do vet them to say that they are. They really say they are.
Yes, we do have a process. So we make sure they're pregnant, and we work with partner pregnancy centers to ensure that. We love partnering. We love collaborating with pregnancy centers, sidewalk counselors, other organizations like Students for Life and Live Action and Pro-Love Ministries. I mean, we are a resource for not just moms, but for other organizations that don't know how to help these moms, or they aren't able to, or that's not their mission. So we vet the moms. They come to us either on social media or through a partner pregnancy center. We confirm their pregnancy. Our counseling team is very good at that type of thing. We specifically help women who have abortions scheduled or have abortion pills in hand, or are very close to ordering them or going in. And we come up with a financial plan for them. We work with them on their specific issues. Our counselors just take the time to listen to them and understand what's going on. And when we do have a financial plan ready to go for our moms, we pay those bills directly to where they're due. So we're not just,
so you're not sending them the money saying, okay,
we're not saying,
smart.
Here's money. Hopefully you pay your bill.
Yeah.
We send that money where it's due. So we're paying the landlords, we're paying the car payments, we're paying the phone bills.
My gosh.
Because it's a balance, right?
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing that we've, I think, had to figure out with Let Them Live, was the balance that we strike between making sure women are getting the help they need and not creating unnecessary red tape, but also making sure donor money is being spent wisely and being protected, and that we are doing our duty to not just be, throwing money out there. So Let Them Live has gone through many different iterations, and we've trial and errored, almost everything there is. And I'm proud to say, 7 years in, I think we have a really good system of vetting and working with our moms and getting them in very quickly into our program, and making sure that our donor money is stewarded, correctly.
Absolutely. What's the average length of time that you're working with a woman? I mean, if she has needs, obviously, that stretch beyond, the first couple of months of baby's life, do you all continue to support? Are you passing her off maybe to other organizations that do that more long-term care?
Yes. The answer is yes. It really depends on the woman. So our support is very customizable, I guess I would say. It's very tailored to each mom, because every single woman who comes to us has a very different situation. We've had women who come to us and they're considering abortion because they can't pay for childcare and they just need help with some childcare and maybe the first 6 months of the baby's life. Okay, no problem. But then we also have women who are homeless, living on the street, and they have, domestic violence in their past, and they're struggling with a lot more and require more. So the amount of time, what we help with, the amount that we help with, it all really depends on the mom and her situation. But we've helped women, again, for a couple months to a year and a half, 2 years. It depends on the situation and what's going on. But typically, I would say anywhere from like 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
We also definitely provide support after she gives birth. And there's also the option, for her to start using some of our support after she gives birth, if that's what she's worried about, is maybe childcare after birth. But we wouldn't be doing our job if we just kept paying bills for moms without, alongside of that, setting them up for success for the long term in the future. So while we're paying these bills for these moms, there's a few things that we do. We taper off the support. So a financial plan might look something like, okay, we're going to pay 6 months of rent, and we're going to pay 4 months of car payment and 2 months of your utility bills. And during that time, our goal is to help her start taking those bills back over so that she can provide. And that's what she wants to do.
Yeah.
These moms, they don't want to have an abortion. They want to be the best mom they can be for their babies and provide for them. And so we work with them on, jobs and job applications, and work with them on, increasing their faith, right? That's like a really big thing, is helping them with their spiritual life, helping them with any past traumas. We try to be as comprehensive as possible. And we do this in partnership with pregnancy centers and with other organizations, because Let Them Live, we know our mission, we know our drive, and we can't do everything.
Totally.
So we really try to make sure that people and organizations who are experts in different areas are looped in to make sure our moms get the best of the best.
Yeah.
So that they are equipped and they are prepared to take their bills back over and start providing a life for them and their children that they can sustain. So yeah, it's really amazing to see these moms do a total 180 with their life. And we, teach them financial skills as well. So how to save and how to budget. And a lot of these things you and I were probably, I was taught growing up, but a lot of these things, these moms, they're not taught. They're not taught basic life skills sometimes with the environment that they grew up in.
Yeah. I won't ask you to pick a favorite because that feels unfair. I'd be like, pick a favorite mom and a favorite baby. But is there maybe one story that had just touched you in a really unique or powerful way that maybe others didn't?
Yes, there's so many, but this has been the same story I've shared for the last 6 years now, almost 6 years now, was our mom, Atoria, and she was pregnant with her son. She was about 19 weeks pregnant when we first got in touch with her. She had been going back and forth between scheduling a 2-day, second trimester abortion. And we got in touch with her, and we told her we'd support her. And she just was so back and forth between, do I accept the support? Do I not accept the support? At the time, she was living in her car in California. She didn't have any support from the father of the baby. He just wanted her to have the abortion. She wasn't able to get support from her family. And she was also dealing with a lot of mental health problems. And so she told us that if she had gone through with the abortion, she was planning to commit suicide after, and she was in a really dark place. Eventually, Nathan and I convinced her to at least just meet with us. So actually, at the time, we were in Indiana, so Let Them Live is a national organization. But, she was in California, we were in Indiana, and we hopped on the next flight, and we got to her, and we said, look, we're here. Just come meet with us. We'll put you up in a hotel. That way you have a place to sleep. We'll find you an apartment. We'll get this going. Like, you do not have to have this abortion. And that's when she finally accepted our help, which was really amazing. She was probably one of the more hard moms to counsel because abortion was looking so tempting to her because her financial and life circumstances were just so stressful and putting so much fear in her heart. Yeah. And so we got very close with Atoria, and she actually asked Nathan and I to be there for her birth, which really is the part that sticks out to me. And that was very life-changing for me because Nathan and I flew back to California, and it was March 2nd, 2020, so almost 6 years ago, that she gave birth to her baby boy, Kiari. And holding him was, I don't have words. I mean, how holding a baby that you directly saved from abortion is probably the most life-changing experience you could ever have. Yeah. And it solidified in me. It solidified something in me that, all right, there's no going back now. This is what my life is going to look like. Yeah. It solidified that I want other people to feel this. And that's why we went so, we started advocating for Let Them Live more and more. And we wanted people to donate because we want people to have that experience to say, you saved that baby from abortion. You can hold that baby. You can know that that baby is alive, that baby is going to be celebrating their 6th birthday because you gave, because you supported. And it's the coolest thing. I highly recommend it.
It's the absolute best. Well, and it's just neat, full picture, because I think we had talked about, because when we last spoke, you were in the middle of this situation, and you made reference during our very first conversation to like, we're going to go out and support this mom when she gives birth.
Yes.
And so cool.
And now
all these years later, almost 6 years old.
Almost 6 years old. And she is, she actually just had another baby. She's married now.
Wow.
She's given her life to Jesus. She's got a great job. She's actually helping women who are in the sex industry to help get out, and helping victims of trafficking. And she's actually referred women to Let Them Live. So that's another intersection that we work at, is the intersection of abortion and trafficking, which is a whole other conversation.
Yep.
And, you know, she, like I said, she's married, her husband's in the military, and her life has just done a total 180.
Wow.
It's cool to see.
Really cool.
Yeah. More than just the babies, which of course in the pro-life movement, we love the babies.
Yes.
But we love women.
Yeah. No, it's both
women.
and.
Yes.
Yeah. You have two people that you're ministering to, that you're working with.
Yeah.
And hopefully three. Hopefully dad's involved too.
Yes.
That's so
yes.
cool. Well, and I love what you said about like knowing, like you guys know where you're called, and like this is, and we can't do everything. And I think there's so many awesome pro-life organizations out there that's proved, you know, on Friday with the March for Life, you watch all of these awesome pro-life organizations and pro-life leaders come together, that so many bring something really unique to the table. Last week, we had Marjorie Dannenfelser on, the head of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America, you know, and they're more so in that policy space. And, you know, everyone has this unique and beautiful role. But, you know, one of the things that we had touched on a little bit with Marjorie that I want to take a minute to chat a little bit about today is just like, where does the pro-life movement stand? And it's been an interesting few years after Roe v. Wade was overturned, just sort of be like, okay, what's next? What is the next fight? And how do we continue to really communicate the value of life, especially to young people? So I was looking at stats, and Pew Research reports that 76% of Gen Z think that abortion should be legal in almost all cases. Millennials are a little better, still not great. 31% of millennials think abortion should be legal in almost all cases. But, you know, you kind of have to ask that question, why? Gen Z is they're a very passionate generation. And yet it's like, okay, how do we communicate to Gen Z the value of life? Because there are future leaders.
Yes.
Especially future leaders in this issue.
Future leaders that are like 6, 7.
Yeah.
It's concern. I don't know if that's concerning or not.
We talked about 6, 7 a few weeks ago.
Oh my gosh.
It cracks me up.
No, but
it's so funny.
They
yeah,
are.
It is. It's like, how do we take this as an opportunity and maybe kind of reconcile, you know, some of the questions that Gen Z is asking, the clashes within the pro-life movement even.
Yeah. It's interesting because I have always thought, and I've probably even said, Gen Z is pro-life. Gen Z is pro-life. And
I feel like you're declaring it, right? Like,
I am.
You're speaking
Gen
in faith.
Z is pro-life. I think maybe, you know, the Gen Z pro-lifers are just very vocal. Yeah. I feel like as a millennial, I'm kind of on the tail end. So I'll be 31 in March.
That's great. I'm older than you.
Am I sure that I'm But tail end a millennial. And I feel like, at least for me, I feel like we're always like afraid to say we're pro-life or conservative for fear of backlash. But I think this new generation, they just don't care, which is awesome. They're just like, I'm going to put it out there. And that's a cultural change. I think there's Gen Z pro-lifers that are just like, I'm going to say it and I don't care if you disagree and I'm allowed to say it. Yeah. I also think maybe it's just that they grew up with social media. They grew up with like everything in your face, constant news sources available, you know, everything. And that's why I wonder why Gen Z is not more pro-life, because I feel like they have the ability to understand abortion in a way maybe we didn't have information. Yeah.
Science is that much more so now than it even was 5 years ago to prove. Right. Yeah, life does begin.
The access to information and things like that. But I do wonder again that maybe the minority of Gen Zers who are pro-life are just more loud in a good way. They're just, and I'm hoping that Gen Zers can continue that way. But it's important that we reach them in a way they understand as well. And that's where the pro-life movement is either going to sink or float. Yeah. If we learn how to effectively engage on social media and use AI and use the technology at our fingertips and adapt to the times we're in, I think we'll see success. But if the pro-life movement keeps resisting, you know, this sort of change, we're going to be stagnant. We have an opportunity as a pro-life movement to continue reaching women and continue reaching those Gen Zers on the right platforms. And you know, talk about Dobbs and post-Dobbs. Was the pro-life movement ready for what was coming after Dobbs? I don't think so. Yeah. I don't know if we fully understood as a movement the the major increase in abortion pill, orders and sales and usage that was going to happen after Dobbs, which is very concerning. And that's a concerning problem for Let Them Live, because abortion pills are more readily available to women than ever, even in pro-life states that ban abortions. You can get them there. And we're on the phones with women who have the pills in hand. And so where are we at as a pro-life movement? We're at an intersection where we can adapt to what's in front of us, or we can just keep doing the same old. And Let Them Live, we are very innovative. We like to use the technology that we have. We want to reach more women. And that's the way I see the pro-life movement going. I'm very encouraged. I think that the major pro-life organizations we're seeing a pivot where we're helping women directly. We are reaching them where they're at, which is on social media. And we're doing the things that need to be done to show that the pro-life movement isn't just, the old ladies and old men from, the 60s and 70s. Yep. This is a new pro-life movement. We're cool. It's cool to be pro-life. I mean, I think it is,
Absolutely.
We're kind of coloring outside the lines a little bit. We're more welcoming of non-traditional pro-lifers as well. I'm very encouraged. I think if we keep going this direction, we're going to do a great job, but we have to keep remembering that the fight against abortion is not just against the supply of abortion. It is very much also against the demand for abortion. For 50 plus years, we went after the supply of abortion, and we still are. And it's a very good thing. Do not get me wrong. But we can't forget that there's a demand for abortion. Even when the supply is not there, the supply can still, there's ways around it, unfortunately. And so we really have to reach women where they're at and change their hearts and minds, and make sure that there's a safety net for them, like Let Them Live, so they don't feel like abortion's their only option.
Yeah. Of course, one of the things that has changed since we last spoke is that no doubt more of the women who are coming to you using the services of Let Them Live are Gen Zers. As those women get older, they're getting pregnant, they're in need of help, they're in those situations. And maybe it hasn't changed at all, but have you seen a shift? And I think this is important, for any Gen Zers listening to know. Have you seen any sort of shift in the next generation as regarding why they're saying they're considering abortion, or has it remained pretty consistent over the past 6 years as far as what you hear for the reasons why people are considering abortion?
From what we've been seeing, it's pretty consistent.
Okay.
It will be very interesting to see more studies come out. We really have a lack of data and statistics and numbers on abortion and abortion decisions and reasons why and things like that. And I think it's actually very important that we know that. But from the perspective of Let Them Live, it's not so much the reasons have changed. Women are still struggling financially, and maybe they're in college or maybe they're experiencing something, and the pressure is still there that abortion is pushed as the only option. So that stayed the same. What I think has changed is the availability of information to these young girls and these young women, and unfortunately, on social media, Planned Parenthood does a great job. Yeah, they do. I don't agree with it, but they do a great job of reaching these younger audiences and saying, abortion's an option, abortion's empowerment, all these different things. And that sounds cool. It sounds good on the surface. Oh, you don't have to worry about it. Just go and have the abortion. You're not going to have to ruin your life, that sort of thing. So unfortunately, that has amped up, especially since the Dobbs decision. So the women, the reasons women have abortion, I haven't really seen a change. Yeah. The need is still there, and it's very real. But the problem is that we haven't on a large scale successfully given women an alternative to abortion, or at least marketed it.
Well, and I do have to, you're right. Yeah, Planned Parenthood does a great job with their socials, if we're honest.
Yeah.
And you guys do too.
Thank you. Well, I Planned Parenthood posts really gross stuff as
They
well.
do.
So I never want anyone to take that out of context. Like, I think it's awful.
Oh, yeah.
But
no.
it's like the way they do
have
it.
millions of dollars they can throw behind
yes,
it. So the
they have all the time. Yeah, 100%. So we have to match that,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Well, and I feel like through stories,
Yes.
that's what Let Them Live does so well on social, because I will be scrolling and I see the blast out of like, hey, we have this mom, you know, we have 24 hours, like we need help now. Yeah. And those, I mean, it's so compelling of like, oh my gosh, you know,
Yep.
I can be a part of actually saving this baby
Yes.
in real time.
Anyone from your couch, you donate, you support, you volunteer, like,
which I love.
We can all save lives. And that answers that first question Nathan asked me that night was, do you want to save a life from abortion? I ask every single pro-lifer, do you want to save a life from abortion? You can go to letthemlive.org and do that.
Yeah, so cool. So cool. Well, while we're talking social, tell us, how do we follow Let Them Live? How do we get involved across social media?
I love it. So we're on all of the platforms, and this is where our Gen Z team comes in. Not me, but, you know, if you type in Let Them Live on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, X, YouTube, am I missing any? Whatever it is, type in Let Them Live. You will find us. You can go to letthemlive.org. There's ways to donate, which is always needed, especially because of the nature of our work and our mission. We're paying bills for women. Money that comes into our account goes right back out to pay bills. So we always need more supporters. But there's also ways to volunteer remotely from your house, from your couch. You can do all these things. You can become a pregnancy counselor. There you can, you know, post on social media, whatever it is. But as a pro-lifer, I want to tell other pro-lifers, you can always do something.
Yeah.
You can do something to help promote this cause and to save a life.
Yeah. Which is really encouraging, because I think we so often hear about these problems and it is the question of like, okay, well, what can I do? And it's like, yeah, I can have conversations, which is critical and important, but sometimes it's really nice to know there's something tangible.
Yes.
And that I can do literally right now.
Yes.
That's
yes.
awesome.
Right now, like, you know, pull out your phone.
Pull out your phone.
Pull out your phone.
Well, so every week we end the show with a question of the week. So quick review from last week. Last week's question of the week was, do conservatives still care about the abortion issue? And overwhelmingly, the vast majority of you said yes. So 72% said yes, which was like, okay, awesome. Really glad to hear. Only 7% said not really. 17% said yes, but not as much as they did before the Dobbs ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade. 5% said yes, even more than before the Dobbs ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade. So the vast majority say, yeah, conservatives still care about the pro-life movement, which we love. And so this week, question of the week is, what's going on with Gen Z? Why aren't they more pro-life? I want to get y'all's thoughts, because I think these conversations are critical when we talk about shifting culture, which for years, I think that has been one of the great areas of agreement across the pro-life movement of, okay, yes, we need laws in place, but at the end of the day, it's about changing culture, because if there isn't that demand, then, you know, it's not an issue, right? But there's still a demand. So we're excited to carry on that conversation. But Emily, thank you. Just so appreciate your time today. So appreciate what you guys are doing to literally be a part of saving the next generation.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. And we will see you all right back here next week. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on brand new shows. And make sure you are following Problematic Women on Instagram so you can spout off and let us know your thoughts every week for our question of the week and catch exclusive content that is only on the Problematic Women Instagram account. And while you're at it, while you're following us, follow Let Them Live as well. We'll see you right back here next week.